it's Amy here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited to share with you guys my review and swatches of the new Too Faced The Power of Makeup by Nikkie Tutorials palette. A couple days ago I did do a get ready with me, sharing with you guys what it looks like when I applied it for the first time and my first impressions, and now I've got to use it for several more days since then. So now I'm going to be doing a full-on review and swatches of this palette. So first let me tell you what the entire kit comes with, the price, all that kind of stuff, and then I'm going to give you guys my review on the little packet that comes with it first, and then we will move on to the palette and swatching it and my final thoughts on it. So I did purchase my set, which comes in this big box like this, and it looks just like the palette. It's all pink and gold and black and leopard, and it's adorable. I will say I give A+ to the packaging because it's just so incredibly cute. So I'm sure you guys know, but Nikkie Tutorials is a huge YouTuber, and so Too Faced collaborated with her, and they were able to sell it on the Too Faced website as well as Ulta. I did purchase mine at Ulta. It's currently out of stock online. However, they will be in stores on September 4th. So it says Too Faced teamed up with the global beauty megastar Nikkie Tutorials to create this limited edition collection, The Power of Makeup by Nikkie Tutorials, to celebrate the transformative power of makeup. Her exclusive collection features everything you need to create endless looks, and it does say it's a $209 value and it retails for $56. So this entire kit that comes with the palette as well as this little packet comes with the on-the-go eyeshadow palette, a full-size sketch marker in black, which is eyeliner, deluxe shadow insurance, deluxe glamour dust and glitterly, and deluxe better than sex mascara, and a limited edition purple shade. So all of that comes in this little kit right here, and it actually does reseal. It's kind of like a Ziploc bag, which is really unique. I've never seen Too Faced do anything like this, and it's the same exact packaging again as well. So inside here are all those little deluxe size samples of everything. First, you do get the new sketch marker, which I really love this. I already have a full size in my collection that I purchased myself before this kit came out, and I really like this. They have a huge array of colors, and so far I only have black and really enjoy it. So now I may have to go ahead and try some more of them, but I do really like this in the kit. The next item is a little deluxe size of shadow insurance. This honestly wasn't like too impressive to me. It's, I guess, nice if you want a kit with everything in it that you need to create an eye look, but I've got like a bajillion of these because Ulta constantly gives these out during their little sample packets they give when you order online and stuff, so I have a ton of these. So I didn't really need any more, and it's not my favorite primer in the world. It's okay. I know a lot of people love it, but it's just not my personal favorite primer out there. So let me tell you about another item I really like, and then I will get to the glitter. So Better Than Sex mascara I think is okay in general. It's not my favorite mascara. I find that it can clump and it kind of feels a little crusty towards the end of the day. However, I will say I really loved this purple shade, which totally surprised me because purple is so out there. I was like, oh, purple is not going to be wearable. But honestly, unless someone's this close to me and you have bright lights shining in your face, it's not like in your face purple. Now, if you got really close and like I said, with bright lights like I'm using right now to film, then you would really see the purple because it looks very intense. As you can see, it's very purple. The wand and the mascara, I mean, that is really purpley, and like you can see it in the tube as well. Very purple. However, like I showed in that get ready with me, from like afar, like a regular distance someone would be in very natural lighting and normal lighting like at work and stuff like that, it didn't look crazy purple. It was actually a lot more wearable than I expected, and I ended up really loving it because I have hazel eyes, so purple looks really good and just makes your eyes look wider and more open and just really pretty, and it made my eyes pop. So I actually really loved the purple shade. Unfortunately, like they said in the description, it's limited edition. I was hoping they would come out with a full size. I have a feeling they're not going to, but if they did, I definitely would purchase a full size of it because I actually really like the purple. Now the last thing they give us is the Too Faced Glitter Dust in the shade Glitterly. Now this I did not like whatsoever, and I've played with it multiple different ways, but I don't know if you guys can see like how glittery it is, but it's straight up glitter, and it's very chunky and very gritty. It's a very thick glitter, so I'm used to really finely milled glitter. That's what I tend to work with. If it's not pigments and it's actually glitter, then it's very finely milled. I can't remember the brand that I really like. I think it's called Lit. I think it's just L-I-T, and it's from Sephora, and it's this little kit with glue and glitter, and I love it. It's so finely milled, you can't feel it. It's fabulous. This is like straight up chunky glitter, and so when you put it on your eyes, you have this entire layer of just like really gritty glitter, and I did not like it. It was just way crazy. It was glitter fallout galore, and even when I applied it with glitter glue, it still was just, it felt like this entire layer of really thick glitter. So I did not enjoy it. Cool thing about it is even though it's silver, it does kind of transform colors based on the base that you're putting underneath it. So that was cool. With glitter glue, it kind of changed to like a pinky orange color. But I just don't really like the actual formulation of this glitter. I do believe I have other glamour dust from them. I have like a really pale gold, and I don't remember it being this chunky, which I can't find it. I feel like it's in Sample Roulette because it was a small one, but it was really finely milled and much more like the Lit brand versus this that's like, feels like when you were a kid and you would put like Elmer's glue on a piece of paper and then you'd put glitter on it and make some crazy design, and like your mom would put it on the wall or the refrigerator. Like, it feels like that kind of glitter. It's not really, to me, like makeup glitter that I like working with, so I don't really enjoy this. So those are all the little deluxe sizes and stuff that you get in this little kit. So now onto the palette, because I'm sure that's what you guys are most interested in hearing my review on. But as far as the packaging goes, it's gorgeous, beautiful. Oh, I love, like, I'm a sucker for leopard, okay? I'm one of those people, if I can have fleur-de-lis in life and if I can have leopard, like, I will get it. Like, I like leopard stuff, not in a tacky way, but like this kind of way. Like, this is so cute, I love it. But as far as the palette goes, this is what it looks like, and I will kind of talk throughout and give you some comparisons because it's pretty much the same exact size as the Too Faced Stardust Vegas Nail palette that came out maybe around this time last year, around the fall time of 2015. So I did pick up Too Faced Vegas Nail palette way back in the day when I first started my channel last year when this came out. I think I did a tutorial with it using purple shades, and it looked really nice, but it wasn't my favorite palette of all time for the same reasons why I'm not in love with this palette now. And so I will kind of go back and forth and explain the similarities, but same exact size. The layout is exactly the same as far as the eyeshadows. The only difference is you get less eyeshadows and you get some bronzer and stuff and blushes, but otherwise it's pretty much the same exact layout. So in here you do get 4 matte eyeshadows out of the 9, and the rest are shimmer and like chunky glitter. So I'd say that there's 2 or 3 that have like really chunky glitter that I don't like. Then there's like 2 shimmer shades, and then the rest are matte. You get 2 of the Love Flush blushes, and then you get the Chocolate Soleil bronzer. I do want to mention Champagne Truffle, the highlighter, is already in the original existing Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. It's this shade right here, and this one was another one that you could have used it as a highlight or you could use it as an eyeshadow. In this palette, they are marketing it as a highlighter, and we will get to it later, but I'm not absolutely crazy about it. So as far as the eyeshadows go, the matte shades I'll talk about first, and I'll go ahead and swatch those at the same time. This shade up here is called Ivy, and it's supposed to be a cream shade, which is nice to have in the collection. However, I do think it leans on the much whiter side than it does a cream. So for me, it's not a huge deal, but if you have darker skin tones than I do, then I feel like this is going to be very stark white on you. When I'm normally really fair, it'll be fine. But as you guys saw in the Get Ready With Me, I even found that it was a little bit too white and a little too stark white as a base. If you're going to put it all over the eyes, which is what I typically do with my cream eyeshadows in a palette, is I will set my primer and put it all over the eyes to set it and to just make, you know, applying all my eyeshadows really easy. And I found that it was a little too stark white. So I think if you're much deeper than me or deep skin tones, it's going to look very stark white. So I was a little disappointed in that. I wish it had been a little bit more of a neutral or cream shadow versus having a very white base. And then you have Painkiller, which is a really nice mid-tone brown shade that's a really great transition shade. This one is right here. That is my favorite shade in the palette. Then you have Makeup and Chill, which is a really nice chocolatey brown, which is again really nice. And then you have Wanted, which Wanted is a straight up black shade, which it looks nice at first, but when you guys saw the Get Ready With Me, you know how much I struggled with that black shade. It just does not blend out, and it's really pigmented, but once you stick it down, it just doesn't blend very well, and what you can end up blending out is just very patchy. So here's what those first shades look like. You have Ivy, then you have Painkiller, you have Makeup and Chill, and then you have Wanted, the black shade. And like I said, it looks really nice and black at first, but it was just really hard to blend out. So those are the 4 matte shades. So next I'm going to go ahead and talk about the 5 other shades, which are those shimmery shades, and some of them are much chunkier than others. So up here we have Sugar Coated, and then we have Frosted Yum. Both of these to me are kind kind of that really chunkier formula, and when you actually apply them to the lid, they can be very patchy and just not as saturated and as opaque as you would like. Same with Irresistible, which is the gold shade, which I showed you guys in the tutorial. And then we have Wham Bam. Wham Bam is a little bit smoother, but I do find that it looks ultra purpley and dark and beautiful in the palette. I think it does come off much lighter once it's actually applied, but all of these have kind of like this chunkier formula where a lot of it tends to kick up. It kind of has the little pills where little clumps kind of start to pick up, and then also, at the same time, you tend to get like a little bit of hard pan with these. Like Irresistible, I'm kind of getting this film where you're trying to like really dig in there and get a lot of pigment, but instead it's just kind of creating this film on top and creating like a little area that's hard to then get into. And so unfortunately, that's what happens with these. Another thing that's kind of disappointing that you really have to play with this palette before making a decision is it will swatch a lot better than applied, as you guys will see now the swatches compared to looking back at the tutorial. They apply with a swatch really, really well, and that's because I'm using my finger. I have a lot of pressure, but this is one of those palettes that it applies completely different, and it really takes something like your finger to apply it really nicely and opaque. So there are those shades. You have Sugar Coated, Frosted Yum, Irresistible, and Wham Bam. See what I mean with Wham Bam? How it ends up not being quite as saturated and opaque as it looks in the pan. And all of these look really nice and opaque right now, but you saw in that tutorial when I was applying Irresistible, it was patchy and you could still see the shadows underneath coming through. Like it wasn't like a foiled eyeshadow where it's really dense and really, really opaque. So although they look pretty, they do have a lot of fallout, as you guys probably saw in that tutorial as well. Irresistible, I had tons of little glitter all over my face. So unfortunately, this is kind of the same formula as it was in the Vegas Nay palette, which I ended up never returning just because it was around the holidays. I was all excited. I liked it enough to keep it, I guess, because it had some brown shades and purple shades. But the same reasons why I kind of don't reach for this palette are the same reasons why I'm not really liking this new Too Faced palette, because the shades Gold Nugget, the Strip, Jackpot, and Showgirl are about the same formula and like consistency and chunkiness and fallout and pilling as this Vegas Nay palette. So unfortunately, since I already have the Vegas Nay palette, I feel like I don't need this one with the same kind of problems. Now the other shade that I do really like in this palette, though, that surprised me is called Mystic Hour, and that's the blue shade. Now this one I find is not as chunky and glittery and have the same issues as the other shades. It's really nicely pigmented and it's much more smooth, and this Look how gorgeous that shade is. It's so pretty. So I did apply this one all over the lid with like a flat definer brush, MAC 242, something like that. It applies very, very easily. It builds up nicely. That one ended up being really nice, and I just wish that all the other shades, the shimmer, glittery shades in this palette, had been the same formula as Mystic Hour, because that one's really nice. I will say the shades in the palette that I did end up liking that were pretty okay were Ivy, Painkiller, and Makeup and Chill, which were the matte shades. I found that they were really easy to blend, really easy to work with, very, very pigmented and saturated, and they were nice. Now, I will say that I feel like they feel more like the chocolate bar palettes. The matte shades, to me, are a tad bit drier compared to like the PB&J palette. I find that those are really dense and buttery and smooth, and that these have a tad bit drier formula, even though I do like them in this palette. And then Sugar Coated, Frosted Yum, Irresistible, and Wham Bam kind of have that chunkier formula that I'm just not a huge fan of. I'd say that Wham Bam is a little bit more like Mystic Hour as far as it's not quite as chunky, but it just isn't as saturated and opaque as I would have liked. And then Mystic Hour I really liked. Like I said, Wanted was extremely hard to blend out, unfortunately. Now, as far as the blushes go, we have I Will Always Love You and Justify My Love. And these are really ultra pigmented, easy to blend out, and very, very comfortable. And they were really nice. So I don't have any of the Love Flush Blush. I can't say that. Love Flush Blushes. Like, man, that is a tongue twister. I don't have any of those full sizes in my collection, so this is the first time I've got to try them. I know people rave about these, and I have to say I was really impressed, and I really enjoyed them. Now, unfortunately, like I said, I don't have them in my collection to compare, but these really impressed me, so hopefully these are very similar to the original formulas. I think they're really pretty. You have a nice coral shade, and then you have a nice pink shade. I think they're really nice and pigmented and opaque. They blend out really easy, whether you're using a goat hair brush or a synthetic brush. It was really easy to work with. So the last stuff in the palette you get is a Chocolate Soleil bronzer and then the Champagne Truffle highlight. Now, first I want to talk about the bronzer, because to me it's not quite as strong and as amazing as the original individual of the Chocolate Soleil. So let me show you side by side what they look like. This is Chocolate Soleil, which is described as medium deep matte bronzer compared to the palette. I do find that the palette is a little bit more subdued and not quite as pigmented as the original one. To me, this one looks a little bit darker, and this one almost looks a little bit more like Milk Chocolate Soleil versus Chocolate Soleil. So I thought that was interesting. Let me go ahead and swatch them side by side for you, because I do think there's a difference in the way they feel and the way they apply and the way they blend out. I find that the original Chocolate Soleil is so much more pigmented, and it's darker, it's much easier to blend, and I find that the one in this palette is a little bit more gritty compared to the original. So here's the difference. I mean, you guys can see, here's the one that's in the palette, and here's the individual one. There's a huge difference. Like, to me, this looks like Milk Chocolate Soleil and not Chocolate Soleil, which is unfortunate that there's such a discrepancy. And I did try applying it as a contour throughout the week, and I just found that it didn't blend out quite as well and kind of just stuck there and just wouldn't blend out very well. Whereas I don't have a problem with this one, and like I said, a little will go a really long way with this one, whereas that one, I needed more product and it wouldn't blend on top of it. So definitely the individual pan is much, much better. Now, as far as the actual highlighter goes, I find that when you first swatch this, I mean, look how weak that is, like, compared to a typical highlighter. I mean, it's barely covering my entire finger. I can still see my fingerprints coming through the swatch, and that almost never happens with eyeshadows and highlighters on the market and stuff. At least the ones that I try out. Like, to me, that's crazy. And so you really have to, like, dig in there and scrape to get, like, a decent amount of product. And so for me, it just doesn't swatch very well. Now, I will say, so here's what it looks like swatched. I will say that it does apply a little bit better. I ended up using my Target Up and Up brush. That's the one that I needed to use in order to make it work. You definitely need something much more dense than like a Morphe 501 or my Luxie tapered highlighter. Like, those were too fluffy. You definitely needed something that I could like kind of scrape across in the opposite of the grains to really pick up product like you saw in the tutorial. So it's not as bad once you apply it. I think it does apply better if you use the right tools, but when it swatches, it's very, very weak, which kind of surprises me because I don't watch Nikkie tutorials a ton, but what I know about Nikkie tutorials is that she's all about the highlight. Like, every single thumbnail I ever see and like everything on Instagram is like wham, bam, in your face, like crazy highlight to the moon. And so to me, it surprised me that, one, you get a small little highlighter. I would have thought like maybe the highlighter would have been a little bit bigger, like it would have been more of a staple in here. And two, it's just not that pigmented and not that amazing. But overall, unfortunately, I'm just not impressed with this palette. I think there are so many other Too Faced products out in the market that are much better. And Too Faced is one of my favorite brands. I really enjoy it, but this palette, to me, performs very much like the Too Faced Stardust Vegas Snake palette, which I already have in my collection. Not entirely impressed with it either, happened to keep it. But because I already have this, I definitely don't need this in my collection. So I'm going to end up returning this, unfortunately, as excited as I was and how cute the packaging is. The packaging is amazing. I already have the full size of the sketch marker. I do love the mascara, but that's not enough to keep this palette. I just feel like overall this palette is very inconsistent, and Too Faced is coming out with some gorgeous, amazing holiday stuff coming out soon in the next couple months. There's all these sneak peeks on Instagram and stuff, and I'm so excited about all that it's just not worth keeping a palette that's inconsistent and kind of like meh, not that great, when there's all this other stuff coming out that potentially could be really great, which I'm hoping all the holiday stuff is on par with like their 9-pan palettes and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I was really excited, but it ended up not working out with this palette. I hope you guys enjoyed the review and seeing swatches, and I hope you guys enjoyed the get ready with me and seeing how it actually applied and found all of this very helpful. And if you did, give this video a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you can stay tuned to all my upcoming videos, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!